just looking, gets it to Bryant. Bryant dribbling, has to put it up for the buzzer. Banks it in! He banks in the
have a timeout. Decide not to use it. Curry, way downtown. Bang! Bang! Oh, what a shot!
What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Scotty Talks Sixers. Yes, we have split the show into two. We're doing Scotty Talks NBA, Scotty Talks Sixers. So Scotty Talks NBA will be on Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And as you can see, Scotty Talks Sixers will be every Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So what we're going to look into today, we're obviously going to recap the game from last night against the Raptors on the road. Obviously had a big dub by the Titans going on at the same time. So I know a lot of you may not have caught the Sixers game, and rightfully so. No reason to watch the World Series, especially with the way the Sixers have been playing. So nonetheless, I got you with the recap. I did watch it a kind of a side-eye view while I had the World Series on at the same time. So we'll go over that. We'll look at the state of the Sixers, kind of what transpired this week. And this is kind of how we'll do it each week, right? We'll get here Saturday, recap the week. What have we accomplished this week or not accomplished this week, right? And then reflect on that going forward. We'll take a look at the upcoming slate for the Philadelphia 76ers this upcoming week. Obviously, the Phillies, the Eagles, the Union, all of their games have been highlighted over the next 2 weeks or so. But the Sixers they do have games as well. So we'll go over those, kind of get you some record predictions for the upcoming week. And we'll go from there, right? The Sixers team is now 2-4. That was what I would call a huge win last night. And looking at what the Sixers were able to do last night, they beat the Toronto Raptors 112-90. Maxey, right? The franchise, 44 points. 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 15 for 20 from the field, and 9 for 12 from the three-point line. That's the biggest part right there. 12 three-point shots that he got up. He made 9 of them. One of the most efficient three-point shooting nights that I've seen from a Philadelphia 76er in quite a while, if ever. So shout out to Maxey. We're going to talk about him a good bit today because I don't know if it's even a hot take at this point. At the level that this kid plays at in the most consistent fashion, I don't even know if this is a hot take as far as what we're going to discuss here today. But before we get into the recap, everything that went on last night, we obviously have a little bit of house cleaning to do. If you're not already following DSM Media on social media platforms, make sure to do that. We got content on every social media platform coming out daily. So be sure to check the description below in the YouTube description. You'll find all the tags for our social media links. And on top of that, make sure you're subscribing to DSM Media on YouTube. That's the most important thing right now. We're trying to build a YouTube channel, road to 700, road to 800, so on and so forth. We are trying to build a YouTube channel. So make sure to subscribe. Ring the bell once you get to YouTube. Turn the notifications on. That way you're notified every single time DSM Media goes live. Along with that, we are running a giveaway. So we will be raffling off a World Series edition Bryce Harper jersey. Why the hell would you not want that after what we just saw in Game 1, what the Phillies have been able to do this postseason? On top of that, so that's when we would get to 800 subscribers. So help us get there. We'll raffle off the Bryce Harper World Series edition jersey. Eagles tickets. That's the other part of the giveaway. We will be giving out 2 Eagles tickets to the Eagles-Titans game later on in this NFL season. And that is once we eclipse the 1,000 subscriber mark. So help us get where we're trying to get to. Help us grow. Obviously, we're just trying to bring content to your eyes, keep you guys covered as far as the Philly spectrum and the entire sports spectrum. But in the meantime, you can also get some nice rewards just by being subscribed to DSM Media, which is completely free. So make sure you're subscribing, getting involved with all the giveaways, and of course, just checking out our shows. Make sure you're commenting, and just so we can get you involved in the show. That's what this is all about. It's about interaction. It's about getting your thoughts, and ultimately having these discussions. Scary Harry chiming in. You asked for desperate energy, and you got it. Yes, I asked for it last night on the Sixers pregame show, and we got a desperate level of play from the Sixers team, even without Embiid. I know at the end of that show, kind of went away from the Sixers, right? I thought Embiid was going to be playing. I picked the Sixers to win. I picked Embiid to have, player of the game in that game. And ultimately, he's not able to, he's not even able to go last night. So I did end up picking against the Sixers. Being Embiid-Less, they proved me wrong. I'm happy about it. I'm not going to complain. And nonetheless, they get the W. But they play with desperate energy. Maxey especially came out urgent. You could see the urgency. They were not trying to go 1-5, especially against this Raptors team. Can the Sixers go 4-0 and put together 5 straight wins? We're going to talk about that. Does Maxey deserve to be the second option on offense? We're going to talk about that as well. And are the Sixers better without Embiid? I mean, save that shit. That's not a real question. I want you guys to know that from the jump here today. It's more or less just me saying calm down with that. That's ridiculous. You're talking about an MVP candidate here in Joel Embiid. So no, I don't think the Sixers are better without Joel Embiid, although they did get their first dub of the season without Joel Embiid last night. First dub without Joel Embiid, not their actual first dub of the season. Okay, so let's go through a recap of the week to start out here. We'll take a look at what transpired for the Sixers, where they're at right now. So Sixers this week have actually gone 2-1, despite how everybody was feeling after that loss to the Toronto Raptors on Wednesday. The sky was falling. The Sixers were 1-4. Obviously, you compound that with the loss to San Antonio on the previous Saturday. That's really where the hysteria comes from. You beat the Pacers on Monday, lose to the Raptors on Wednesday. That's where that hysteria comes from at 1-4. But nonetheless, they went 2-1 this week. They have a chance to go 3-1 or 2-2 tonight against the Chicago Bulls, which obviously we'll be covering that via Sixers pregame tonight at 7 p.m. Nonetheless, start the week, Sixers beat the Pacers 120-106. That was on Monday night. Harden had 29 points, 11 assists, 9 rebounds, 10 for 18 from the field, 5 for 10 from the three-point line. Harden was player of the game in that Pacers game. Sixers lose to Raptors on Wednesday, 119-109. Maxey, Siakam, those were the players of the game in that game as well. Maxey had 31 points, 6 assists, 5 rebounds, 12 for 21 from the field, 4 for 8 from the three-point line. Siakam with 20 points, 13 assists, 5 rebounds, 7 for 16 from the field, 4 for 8 from the three-point line. And then finally, the Sixers close out on Friday night, beat the Toronto Raptors 112-90. Obviously, no Embiid. Maxey, 44 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 15 for 20 from the field, 9 for 12 from the three-point line. He was a plus 29 in this game. James Harden, 11 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. He was 4 for 9 from the field, 0 for 3 from the three-point line. So not, a huge scoring output from Harden, even relatively low for his rebounding and assist numbers. But obviously you still get the W. You're happy. DeAnthony Melton, 13 points, 6 assists, 5 rebounds, 5 steals. 5 steals. DeAnthony Melton gets the start last night. And I'm telling you right now, I'm giving him more minutes. I saw Brian Toporek on Twitter. He mentioned maybe bringing Tobias off the bench, even with Embiid back. You insert DeAnthony Melton into the starting lineup. He brings defense. He brings energy. He turns up the pace a little bit with his speed, his quickness. So I like the idea. I don't know if the Sixers would actually go that route. I don't know if that's plausible. I know people have talked about Tobias Harris's contract as a reason that he can't go to the bench, be a sixth man. That's not a reason to – contract value is not a reason to not do what's best for your team. If that's what's best for the team, then that's what they should do. It shouldn't be based around Tobias Harris's contract. And quite frankly, a six-man role, you can get as many minutes as a starter does anyways in that role. So the whole bench starting thing, that's such an ego trip to me, which I don't see that from Tobias Harris, but you just never know until you put players in that situation. But it's something I would honestly consider. You see the 5 steals there, but that just doesn't even speak to all of what DeAnthony Melton does as far as a disruptor. And he's starting to get more comfortable in offense. That's my biggest thing with DeAnthony Melton. Small ball lineup, obviously that gave the Raptors some fits. It allowed them to obviously get back in transition a lot better. They were fairly even in that field last night. Um, Melton, right? We like Melton. Harden picked his spots. I'm looking at James Harden, 11 points. Obviously, not the output that you want from Harden, not the MVP level performance that he has played with so far this season. One second. Whew, just brushed my teeth. My mouth is awfully dry. Um, yeah, so Harden, what I will say about Harden last night, obviously it's not what you want from him. But the positive is that he picked his spots well, right? And the reason I say that he picked his spots well, or maybe just didn't even pick his spots at all last night, Maxey has the hot hand, right? He goes into halftime like 10 for 10 from the field, 27 points. You give the ball to Maxey at this point in the game. Like, he is on fire. He followed through in the second half, ended up with 44 points total for the game. Harden was able to recognize that and just feed the hot hand. Only 9 shots for Harden. So it's not like he was going out there jacking up shots, trying to do too much. He let Maxey go at it. And that's exactly what you need to do on these nights, where if Maxey's the guy, then he's the guy. If Embiid's the guy, then he's the guy. If Harden's the guy, he's the guy. All we need to focus on is when those guys are getting all the attention, the other guys got to hit shots. But when it comes to the hot hand, we need to do that more. Feed the hot hand. And Maxey versus Toronto specifically, just these 2 games this week, 37.5 points per game, 6.5 rebounds per game, 5 assists per game, 1.5 steals per game, 65% from the field, and 65% from the three-point line. Obviously, 65% from the three-point line, even 65% from the field as a guard. Not long-term, that's not sustainable. But it does speak to kind of Maxey turning the corner this season, right? Started out a little slow, had a couple games mixed in there. Had a little bit of a dinger, 8-point game, I believe it was against Indiana. Comes out against Toronto, lights them up the first game with 31, and then comes back even stronger on Friday in the second game with 44. This prompts me for my next topic of conversation, just stemming from this game alone. When Embiid comes back, where does Maxey go in the pecking order? Because he just continues to show that he deserves more of everything, more touches, more times with the ball, more times in control of the offense, more times as the number one scoring option. Where does he fall in the pecking order when you have Embiid, Harden back in the mix? I think he needs to go ahead of Harden. And that's no diss to Harden. It's just that Harden can do other things. He can do other things really well. We don't need him per se, game in, game out, as a locked-in 30-plus point scorer. Harden can contribute in other ways to the game. He can draw attention. And, of course, he can have his nights. We definitely need that there in case we need it. But I would say the younger player, Maxey, he's a spark plug. When he gets going, the Sixers are kind of unstoppable. When Maxey is on, the Sixers are ready to go. They're really hard to stop when Maxey is on. Get him going as much as you can. This is what I was talking about last night, building tendencies towards winning. Allow Maxey to build the right tendencies during the season. James Harden, Joel Embiid, these are guys that you've been in the league for how long now? You've been at the top of the scoring charts for how long, season in, season out. You know how to score. You know how to go out and get your spots, and you should be able to do that at any point in the game, rhythm or not. Obviously, rhythm matters for every player, but these players it should matter a little bit less for in comparison to Maxey. Get Maxey in the flow early. Allow him to be the early killer if that's what you want to do. But I think Maxey needs to be 1B in this offense. And the reason I say 1B and not 2 is because he needs to be right up there with Embiid. I'm telling you, I get it. We love Embiid, and I love Embiid. Embiid's a hell of a talent, if not one of the most talented players on earth when it comes to basketball. But we don't have to focus the offense so on Embiid and just getting the ball down in the post and just black hole down in the post, right? Not that that's the case. Embiid has looked very good passing out of double teams, passing out of the post. He's showing patience this season, a lot better than what we've seen in previous seasons. But we got to balance the offense out a little bit more. If Embiid's having a bad night, we got to be able to go in a different direction and know what to do when we head down that path. And that's my biggest point here. Give it to the hot hand. It's what I was saying earlier. And great job by James Harden to recognize Tyrese Maxey's hot tonight. Let's get Maxey the looks that he deserves. You give him the looks, and look what he was able to do, 44 points. Aside from Maxey and his star-studded night against the Raptors, much better effort in defense, obviously. You hold the Raptors to 90 points. Obviously, that's better defense, more attention, more effort on the defensive side of the ball. And quite honestly, I would imagine the Sixers got embarrassed on Wednesday. That's why they come out and play with that type of energy last night, even without Embiid. No doubt the Sixers are – what I'll say about Embiid, because I saw it popping up minimally on the TL last night. Are the Sixers better without Embiid? I'm not going to go that far, guys. What I will say about the Embiid-Less Sixers, there's no doubt that they're a better transition team. They can get out and transition a little bit easier without a 7'2" big center kind of holding down the offense, slowing down the offense, waiting for him to get set up down the court. And obviously, you can get back on defense a little bit easier when Embiid is, not getting hit, falling on the ground, those type of things. So no doubt in my mind that they're a better transition team without Joel Embiid. That's obvious. He's a center. That's the way today's NBA is. That doesn't mean that the best version of the Sixers doesn't include Joel Embiid. That means Joel Embiid needs to get better at getting back in transition, get better at getting down the court, getting there early. He's been doing that fairly well early on in the season. He's not in the best shape yet. He's not conditioned yet. So as the season goes on, he gets in better shape. I think we'll start to see that a lot more. That's obviously something he's being coached towards, is getting down the court early, setting up that post position, getting deep in the post, and getting those easy buckets early. So as Embiid gets more in shape, gets in better health, obviously dealing with that plantar fasciitis, I believe we'll see a better version of Embiid, and we'll see the best version of the Sixers. That exactly what I'm saying there is, while they're better in transition, they're going to be better at certain things with a smaller lineup. That doesn't mean that their best shot at a championship is without Embiid. I mean, that's just dumb. Quite honestly, that's just dumb to think that way. And it's overreactionary, right? It's one game. You go out, you play the Chicago Bulls without Embiid tonight. Let's see how that goes, right? You got two wings in Levine and DeRozan. Do you think that fares as well? We don't know, right? We wouldn't know until we would see a full season without Embiid. But to jump to that conclusion about a perennial MVP candidate after one game without Embiid, I think that's a little ridiculous, and it's a little overreactionary. We don't need to go that far. We can just call it a good win, good effort by the Sixers, and way to persevere without your star player. That's exactly what we would call it. That's what we would call it without any other star player in the NBA. There's no need to overreact and say this team is better without Embiid. That's just not true. Aside from that, looking at it last night, we talked about turnovers. We talked about the fast break battle. We talked about the rebounding battle. My goal for that game was for the Sixers to win the rebounding battle. They did not. Joel Embiid did not play in that game. Obviously, that would contribute towards winning the rebound battle against Toronto. But nonetheless, they got the W. So that is what's more important there. But did not hit our goal from Sixers pregame last night. They did win the turnover battle, and they kept fast break points close. And that's all you can ask. I mentioned keeping fast break points. Keep the spread under double digits. You cannot be, getting out fast. You cannot be getting beat in transition by 10 plus points each game. It's a recipe for disaster. So I was happy to see them take care of that last night. We recapped the Sixers versus Raptors. Obviously, that's important that they get that W, get to 2-4. 1-5 looks way worse than 2-4. And I'm telling you, it would have been a red alert today if they lose that game, regardless of if it's without Embiid or not. And it did. I remember somebody on the comments last night on Sixers pregame calling that an excuse for Doc. He didn't need an excuse. He took care of business last night. Another side note here, just before I move on from that game, and we'll probably talk about it a little bit more when we get to the next ladder. Matisse Thybulle, he was averaging 1.5 minutes per game before that game last night. Last night he gets 22 minutes, 6 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 for 6 from the field, 2 for 5 from the three-point line. Sixers have been struggling on defense and in transition. Those are two things that I think Matisse Thybulle could absolutely help with in the long run. Getting him some more minutes in the future, I think it's in the cards. I know I've been down on Matisse. I know on previous shows you can hold me accountable. I have said I would not be giving Matisse a ton of chances on this roster after what I've seen as far as his offensive limitations. Things change. People disappoint, right? Daniel, I said Eddie House, Boston Celtics days. Daniel House has not been spectacular. He's not been good. No reason he should be getting minutes over Matisse Thybulle. There's certain matchups where George Niang possibly shouldn't be coming off the bench before Matisse Thybulle for defensive purposes. So there's a lot of things to factor in there. I think overall Matisse Thybulle should be getting some more minutes. You saw a little bit of what he could do last night. He was a little bit all over the court. 6 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. The 2 3-pointers, that's the biggest thing. He hit those back-to-back. I believe that was in the second quarter. And that was really impressive to see a little bit of consistency there, right? Missed the other 3 shots, but you want him to take them first of all. That's where we can start, and then hopefully we can make this well. Let's take a look at the Sixers so far this season. We'll do this every Saturday, just to give you guys kind of a layout of what to look for each and every Saturday here on Scotty Talks Sixers. So a status check. Sixers are 2-4, obviously. You have the loss to the Raptors, you have the loss to the Bucks and the Celtics, and the loss to the Spurs. You have the 2 wins against the Pacers and the Raptors. Tonight you get the Bulls, hopefully get closer to 500. Throughout the 6 games, just to take a look at the numbers for our 4 stars here. Joel Embiid, 5 games so far, obviously didn't play last night. 27.6 points per game. 10 rebounds per game, 3.2 assists per game, 1.4 blocks per game. He's shooting 52.1% from the field and 27.8% from the three-point line. Definitely want to see the three-point percentage increase. Obviously, would like to get him up closer to the league average. But at the same time, you just don't want him shooting a ton of threes. So it's not like you need to shoot more to get that average up. Nothing like that. We just need to be more efficient in that space. 52.1% from the field. That's trending in the right direction for Joel Embiid, especially with where he was at towards the beginning of October. James Harden, 6 games played, so he's played every game this season. 22.7 points per game, 7.5 rebounds per game, 8.7 assists per game, 47.4% from the field, 36.6% from the three-point line he's shooting. Would not be surprised if we see Harden out tonight against the Bulls. I'm interested to see if that is maybe the way the Sixers will play this. If Harden is sitting out back-to-backs, I don't know that for a fact. I have no inclination to know that. So don't take my word for that. It's just something that I'm wondering here. You sit Joel Embiid on the front end of the back-to-back. You get the W against Toronto. Do you sit Harden on the tail end of the back-to-back, try to get this W with Embiid tonight in Chicago? Just an idea. I don't know if that's actually how they're going to play it. I'm sure it would depend on Harden's health, his shape, if he's sore, if he's having any tightness in his legs. So that's something to keep an eye on tonight. Does Harden play? But nonetheless, 6 games so far. We've seen the scoring average decrease. Obviously, at 11-point game last night, that brings it down a good bit. But 22.7 points per game, sitting around the same averages as we saw last year, but during the regular season. That's exactly where we want to see Harden, if not a little bit more scoring, but picking his spots. That's the biggest thing. Efficiency, turnover ratio, facilitating. Those are the biggest things with Harden. And then simply effort on the defensive end. We need to see effort on the defensive end. Stay in front of your guy. Stay on your man. Stay attentive on the defensive side of the ball. But I'll be honest with you. I have no complaints from Harden so far throughout this season. I think he's been sort of everything the Sixers have needed. In the losses, he has tried to bring them back with scoring. He's he clips 30 points in those losses, right? He tries to bring them back. Sometimes it's not enough, but nonetheless, James Harden is giving us everything he's got this season so far, and I am happy to say that. Maxey, 6 games played so far. He is the second leading scorer. It's what we talked about earlier. Should Maxey be the legitimate second option when it comes to scoring on the Philadelphia 76ers? 1B is what I want to call him as far as a scoring option here. Second in scoring on the team at 24 points per game, 3.5 rebounds per game, 3.5 assists per game. He's shooting 52.5% from the field, which is just incredible for a guard of his size, his style, the way he plays. It's incredible. 48.8% from the three-point line. We're talking preseason numbers here again, right? We saw the incredible numbers of Tyrese Maxey's three-point shooting in the preseason. You see that. You see the first couple games of the season. That makes sense. That was ridiculous for us to think he could maintain that from the preseason. Plus, it's just preseason. 48.8% from the three-point line, 6 games into the season. Obviously, I don't think it'll stay close to 50%. That would be incredible if it did. But he did shoot 42% from the three-point line last year. So if he improved to 43, 44, 45% from three, it wouldn't be out of this world. But nonetheless, he's shooting the rock incredibly right now. And that's what you want to see from your third-year guard. Keep improving. Keep improving. Very similar to Jalen Hurts. Just improves every single year, every single game. You see improvements. Love what I'm seeing from Maxey. Tobias Harris, 6 games played, 12.7 points per game, 6.2 rebounds per game, 44.1% from the field, 37.8% from the three-point line. Tobias Harris has been solid outside of 2 games, I believe, in throughout the first part of this season. So 4 out of 6 games, he's been relatively solid. You want to see the efficiency go up field goal percentage wise. He needs to finish at the rim. That's probably the biggest thing for me with Tobias right now. You see him go attack the rim. He tries to dunk on somebody, whatever the case may be. You need to finish that. There should be no lack there as far as getting to the rim and finishing. He's a bigger guy. He's an athletic guy. Why not just go up, flush it over somebody? Why are we always getting blocked at the rim? Need to get a little bit more skilled there, get a little bit tougher, stronger at the rim, and finish through contact. But nonetheless, he's been solid. I just want to see more consistent winning tendencies from Tobias, knowing where he's supposed to be on the defensive end of the floor, knowing where he's supposed to be on the offensive end of the floor, being able to shoot open shots, being ready to shoot, right? We saw him get, I believe, 7 or 8 3-pointers last night up. Continue to do that. That's what the Sixers need in order to space the floor. Otherwise, we're going to have a bunch of congestion right in the middle of the court where Embiid operates. We need Tobias Harris to be able to spread the floor, space the floor. And in order to do that, you have to not only shoot shots, you have to hit shots. 37.8% from the three-point line. Would like to see him get closer to 40%. That's all I would say there. Get the field goal percentage closer to 50%. And now we're talking. Now we're looking good, Tobias. But nonetheless, just need to see more consistent tendencies from Tobias because it's the epitome of Tobias throughout his time here in Philly. Inconsistent. Ghost nights, right? Nights where he just turns into a ghost. So it doesn't seem like he's there. We can't have those anymore, especially when we get to the postseason. But nonetheless, Tobias Harris has been relatively solid. 12.7 points per game. It's quite low for Tobias if you look at his last couple seasons, but it's based around what the Sixers need. And if that's what they need, around 13 points per game from Tobias, then so be it. Final notes, Maxey needs to be featured more. We went over that several times. Let the kid loose. He's the franchise for a reason. Let the kid loose. Let him live. I want to see more Maxey in the future. Upcoming schedule. As far as what we're looking at here, we got the Bulls tonight, 3-3 Bulls. And I think this is a win, guys. I think tonight, regardless of if Harden plays or not, I think it's more keyed around if Embiid plays in this one. You need to win the rebounding battle tonight. I know I said that last night, but that becomes a big thing here. Vucevic, you have Drummond off the bench. You have Tony Bradley on that Bulls roster. need to rebound the basketball, and you can't let DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine beat you. But nonetheless, I think the Sixers can kind of turn the nod here, kind of get on the right trajectory, get closer to 500, right? Start building your way back up to 500, and get corrected in that win column. I think they win tonight in Chicago. Obviously, we'll break down that game a little bit more in detail tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Sixers pregame show. Monday, we have the 3-2 Wizards. Sixers head to Washington to take on the Wizards. The Wizards have been fairly tough this year. Obviously, Bradley Beal's healthy. He's got his contract. You got Kyle Kuzma there, Kristaps Porzingis. I think this is a W. You guys are going to think I'm crazy. You're going to think I'm a homer today because I'm picking W's. But this is a Wizards team that the Sixers should be better than. They should be able to take care of business on the road or not. And that's the same way I look at the Bulls. That's how I look at all these games this week, quite honestly. This is another opportunity for the Sixers to get back to 500, right? You win tonight, win Monday. Now you're 4-4. You're right back at 500. Basically a brand new season, right? We get to Wednesday. You get the Wizards again, but at home. That's a W. We're 3-0 right now. From Saturday on, we are 3-0 as the Philadelphia 76ers so far. And I got a W at home against the Washington Wizards. Once again, this is a team that you're better than. You need to make up some ground right now, get back into the top standings of that Eastern Conference. You just don't want to start the season a month in, a month and a half in, 2 months in, below 500 at the bottom of the Eastern Conference stand. That's not how we want to operate. We want to operate from the top. So get this back on track. Get 3 wins in a row. Well, that'd be 4 wins in a row, counting last night. You get this 4th win in a row. You're back to above 500 with that win. And finally, you have the 3-2 Knicks. You get them at home on Friday. Once again, I'm going with a W. I know it sounds homerish. I know. Five straight wins for the 2-4 Sixers, right? Or 5 straight wins for the 1-4 Sixers at the time, if you don't count last night into that win column. It sounds crazy, right? It sounds crazy for them to go 5-0 over a 5-game stretch, but these are teams that they should beat. These are teams that are questionable playoff teams. Like, they should be down towards the bottom of the Eastern Conference. Sixers should be up towards the top with the talent that they have. Sixers want to get this right, get above 500, get these 4 games this week. You'll be 2 games above 500. You'll be 6-4. And then by the end of the week, by Friday, we're talking about what a hell of a turnaround for the Philadelphia 76ers after that first 5-game stretch. Get to game 6, they turn it around, win 5 in a row, get back to 6-4, and then you got the Suns right after that. I believe that's Sunday or Monday following that Knicks game on Friday. Nonetheless, let's get these 5 wins in a row, get back to 6-4, get back above 500, and then I think the Sixers are in good shape moving forward. Just get back to 500. That's where we can start. 1 game, 2 games at a time, right? Get this W against the Bulls tonight in Chicago. Get that W against the Wizards on Monday in Washington. Let's go from there. We don't want to get ahead of ourselves, although I do have the Sixers going 4-0 in this upcoming stretch, getting out to 6-4. That is going to be all that I have for you regarding the Sixers today. I mentioned Matisse Thybulle. Just wanted to mention that again. He needs to get more minutes. I'm not a Matisse Thybulle fan. I'm not a Matisse Thybulle supporter even. I'm a Sixers supporter. I think it would be better for the Sixers team if Matisse Thybulle got some more minutes here. So that's going to be my final note. Maxey's a franchise. Let him loose. We'll end on a Maxey note, right? I will see you guys tonight, Sixers pregame, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The game against the Bulls is at 8 p.m. Starts at the same time as the Phillies. Nonetheless, I'll get the pregame show out. We'll get you covered as far as what to look for. Obviously, I know people are not going to watch the Sixers game over the Phillies. That is completely fine. I will watch it for you. We'll recap it on the next Scotty Talks Sixers. But nonetheless, guys, I do want to shout out our sponsors over at Gents Barber Lounge. As you know, DSM Media is brought to you by Gents Barber Lounge. Check out one of the 2 great locations in Fishtown and Old City and book your appointment today. Gents owns the craft, and it shows rated the #1 barbershop on Yelp in the Philadelphia area. multiple award-winning barbers, and being able to handle any style of cut, adult or kid. Here, let's take a look at some of Gents Barber Lounge work. All right. Shout out to Gents Barber Lounge. Head over to gentsbarberlounge.com. Book your appointment today in Fishtown or Old City, one of the best barbershops in Philadelphia. Also want to shout out our sponsors over at luxodin.com. Head to luxodin.com. Check out some of the finest jewelry available online and use code DSM at checkout for 25% off and free shipping at luxodin.com. Trust me, I got a few pieces from them, a bracelet, gold bracelet, a gold-plated necklace, and very nice quality, very affordable, price-sensitive. So definitely check out luxodin.com. Use code DSM. And, of course, check out our merch on tpublic.com, DSM storefront. You'll find a bunch of different Philly-style, Philly Spectrum merch, T-shirts, graphics, hats, all types of stuff, hoodies. We got a brand-new Bryce Harper We Ain't Losing T-shirt graphic. Absolutely beautiful. Shout out to our graphic designer, Willie Da Vinci. And, of course, we have a new Nick Sirianni graphic as well following that Dallas win. We will continue to bring more graphics, more merch to the DSM merch site, so be sure to check that out. And, of course, if you're not already subscribed to DSM Media, make sure to hit that subscribe button right now. Turn the notifications on. Ring the bell. That is what this is all about. Get notified every single time DSM Media goes live. And make sure to comment, like, share. Make sure you get DSM out there. We want to get more people involved, get a wider audience, and obviously get all of the viewers involved here. Make sure to leave your comments there. Leave your thoughts. Let us know how you're feeling. Call me out. Hold me accountable, right? I'm already holding myself accountable before I get off of here. I had a few things I mispronounced, whatever the case may be. I need to get some coffee before I do Scotty Talks Sixers on Saturday. But nonetheless, it was a fun show, guys. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. Follow DSM Media on all social media platforms. The link is in the description. Have a great day. I will see you guys tonight, 7 p.m. sharp. And we're going to talk some Sixers Bulls. It's going to be fun. Get ready for the Phils, though. World Series Game 2, Zach Wheeler on the mound. Exciting time in Philadelphia. You stole Game 1. I would love to dig into that right now because that was incredible. Not my field of expertise, nonetheless. I'll let that for the rest of the DSM crew to dive into. But nonetheless, I am happy to be a Phillies fan. And this is the time of our lives. Let's enjoy it, embrace it, and go Fightins tonight. Go Sixers as well. I'll see you guys around 7 p.m. Have a great rest of your Saturdays, guys.
Artest looking, gets it to Bryant. Bryant dribbling, has to put it up for the buzzer. Banks it in! He banks in the third!
The time